What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tech in 30, the best podcast for the trades when it comes to tech solutions, coaches, consultants in the industry. Super pumped up to have a good friend of mine here, Janine Chambers, who is a Jobber solution expert. As you know, Jobber is one of the most popular online CRM and more tools in the industry for people in the trades or the blue collar stuff. So super pumped up to have an expert who works in the field every single day. Janine, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, Janine. Well, I think it'd be awesome just to, like we'll have the links to your website at the end of this video here, but just to kind of give people a little introduction of like who you are and kind of what you do in a nutshell.
Okay. I got my start with Jobber in a landscaping company in 2018, and I worked in person in office for about 2 or 3 years with it there before I went off into consulting to try and help more people get into Jobber. I just think it's really, really helpful software for almost every trade. Since then, I've kind of branched out and I've helped about 13 different industries, I think, and I've probably connected and worked with about 300 Jobber users. So it's really given me a good idea of how people are using it or maybe where they're struggling so that I can help them get it implemented, or even if it's just a strategy or online training. That's really where I focus now, is getting people up and running, making sure they're using it properly and fully.
Awesome. Sweet. No, definitely a cool tool. And I think like something that, a lot more people should be using in their business here. Do the same thing with Jobber. And we chatted about this too in our previous meeting here, but people get the software, but they don't understand the power that's in it or, how to use it actually fully. So they're paying for features they don't even use. So I think actually having like an implementation expert is like a really key thing. So yeah, that's awesome
Yeah.
there, Janine.
I really help people just get that unboxing
There we
over with.
go.
It's
Right.
probably the hardest part, or knowing when to start or how long it's going to take.
Big time.
I think CRMs are a little scary for some if they don't have a lot of office experience, maybe. So I just kind of help them walk through that storm and get everything done in a timely manner so they're not dragging it out and experiencing things falling through.
Absolutely. Cool. Awesome. Then on that note too there as well. So like, Kai, can you talk a little bit more about your background, how you kind of got in, maybe even just got into this, like how you started seeing there was a need for this? Like, can you kind of, yeah, tell a little bit how you started realizing, oh, I should probably maybe do this for people.
Yeah. Well, I just like, I guess, implementing things. So, you kind of hit the end of the road sometimes if you're just working with one business.
For sure.
But when I first left my job, I started as a virtual assistant, but I realized that people weren't really there yet in the trades. Like, they were missing some key components of their businesses that maybe they just didn't have it ironed out, or it was all in their head. And just to hire any virtual assistant would have been a struggle for most. So I decided to just kind of take a step back and also focus on just jobber customers as opposed to home services in general. And then that just kind of naturally led into consulting and training. I just felt I could have a bigger impact there and help more people so that maybe they can open the door to remote workers or virtual assistants. And then I think most service companies, although they might be quite different, they do have a similar model. So that kind of allows me to help more people in more industries and just show them how to kind of convert what they've got going on into Jobber instead of changing their business for Jobber. It can really accommodate without them having to make any major changes the way that they do things.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense there. And like that, the previous job you had, like what industry was that in? Like, how were you guys using Jobber? Like, were you tasked to get Jobber set up for them? Were they not using it to the fullest? Like, what was kind of like, I guess, like that process?
So, yeah, I worked in a landscaping company and I worked as kind of the office manager dispatch. And they'd been trying to get another CRM up and going for years before I started working there. And they just could never quite get it or get it implemented. So then they ended up trying a trial of Jobber, and I had it up and running I would say within 2 weeks. We started it at the end of the season. So we were just using it for mowing contracts and things like that, and a little bit of fertilizer. But then we moved into snow removal. So we had a chance to kind of play with it there. And then every season with Jobber or every season in landscaping here, there's, you know, 5 different services for spring, 5 different services for summer. So it just gave me the opportunity to kind of play around with different job setups, see how it works with the crews, things like that. But we were pen and paper. So when I first started using Jobber, there's 3 of us working in the office full time. And then by the time I left there, it was just me and I was down to working pretty much part time.
Okay.
So it just really streamlines the workflow, saves a ton of time in the admin department. Everything's very automated.
Let's go. That's awesome there too. In terms of like just like the cost savings, 'cause that's like I found like a big thing for a lot of these softwares. It's either going to save you like money in terms of people getting things done, money in terms of like mistakes not happening as much, but also like
Mhm.
time for like the owner, the operator, or like the admin staff there. Like, what were some of those? Like, that's a huge shift. Like, what were some of those things that really kind of cut the time, cut the savings off that you guys could actually streamline a little bit more? Like, what were some of like those core things I guess you guys implemented during that time that was
So
useful?
one of the biggest things for me was the request form in Jobber because I could send that out in advance in the spring to kind of get the customers to book in advance. So I think most landscapers, they know there's a single day when the phone absolutely explodes. Everyone wants their lawn done. They all wanted it done yesterday. So I like to send that out in advance and just ask people to get on the schedule. And then just the data entry from the paper, like when paper was coming back, I found, we had to enter everything into a separate software and then we had to go and bill it out in another software. And there was no real connection between the tasks that one person was doing in the office with what another person was doing. With Jobber 2, quotes went out a lot faster,
For sure.
or we could create a similar quote from last year and just update the few things that it needed and send it out. So it got a lot quicker. You get a lot more jobs bid too because they just go out immediately. Like it's not a big long process where it sits on somebody's desk and waits. It
For
can be
sure.
done anytime from anywhere. But yeah, dispatching, the crews loved it too. They thought it was a lot more organized than
Nice.
pen and paper. Our mowing lists were done every week instead of, somebody flipping through this 30-page list
Yeah, big
to
time.
make sure that all of the lawns got mowed when they were supposed to. So, like, our customer satisfaction went way up as well as the labor coming down.
Awesome.
So, and I do think that it really helped with staff turnover too, because staff gets upset
Oh, for
when
sure.
it's
People are
chaos, right?
absolutely
So, and it's no fault on business owners. They're usually just like, "Oh, it's spring." They're in survival mode. So, they don't intend for it to be chaotic. It just is.
100%.
So, yeah, Jobber just kind of takes care of that heavy lifting in terms of communication. Yeah.
Just like calming the chaos as you said it there. I feel like it's tough. Like it's so easy, especially when you have like a whole bunch of different systems working together, or your pen and paper here and your digital here. It's
Yeah.
so easy to get into like a really tedious loop, and we see that with like a lot of the guys that we work with too, as well as you know, a lot of them still are just using pen and paper and they're running pretty decent size operations too at the same time, like tools like this and that people like you to help them implement it, I think is super beneficial because even though there's a transitionary period of 2 weeks to a month to kind of get everything like settled in, it does make a big, big difference in like some other CRMs that aren't trade specific or blue collar specific. As you said with the company that you work with, like you guys were struggling with that, or they were before for what, a year before?
Yeah, it was just the getting the actual setup done. Like a lot of the CRMs have this massive setup process to get just in the door.
100%.
We were just off and running, and I'm not gonna say it was perfect.
For sure.
Obviously, I learned a ton of lessons in the first year that would have been
Absolutely.
really handy. That's part of why I help people as well, is because I set up 300 mowing jobs wrong in the
Yes.
start, and I had to go back and restart. So and, it can be set up very quickly, but, you know, I like something that can be used right away, not where there's like 400 templates you have to build out and you have to customize everything and the sky's the limit. So you get like shiny object syndrome. I
Yeah.
don't like any of that. Jobber is very turnkey for most businesses. Obviously, some, like, I mean, if there is no processes in place in businesses, sometimes it's really hard. But
100%.
it's really just kind of getting that information into something repeatable in Jobber, which can be done. It's usually that's kind of where I step in to help people is if they're the one answering all the questions and booking all the jobs and doing all the invoicing, I try and help them get that out and put it into Jobber so that
Cool.
other people can help them or
Awesome.
they can just get what they have to do done faster, I guess.
So I think that's important too, because there's obviously like the software is great, you know what I mean? It works well, but there's also, and you experience this, like a right way of doing things or like a wrong way. Like it could still be helpful, but you're still not really using it exactly like how it was like designed. Like when you talk about, booking in, like what can you tell me that experience? Like booking in 300 mowing jobs wrong. Was it just like the wrong process? Was it like
So there's two different job types in Jobber. There's recurring jobs and one-off jobs. And
True.
I just I didn't realize that in the beginning.
Yeah,
So I set up everything as a one-off job and then I wasn't able to schedule it properly
for
and then
sure.
I didn't know how to route it and I just had to start from scratch. I mean, it was fine. It was probably still 10 times faster than
For sure.
organizing our paper mowing routes, but yeah, it was pretty frustrating to get it
For
all.
sure.
So, I mean, if people are implementing a new CRM, do a little bit, test, set
Excellent.
yourself up as a client and test things out, play around before you set up 300 jobs,
There we
obviously.
go. And it's a
Yeah.
good lesson learned, man. I feel like too, once they, to that shiny object syndrome, like it's almost like you're excited to get on a new platform. Or two, like for people who, and I find this is big too in the industry, like they don't even want to really use the software. So I imagine if they did it wrong and then they're like, fuck, well, I don't want to go back now.
Yeah,
I'm
they
just,
just
I'm just going to abandon the software now because I don't want to go back and do it all. You know what I mean? So
yes.
it's like, yeah,
I've
having like
seen
a
that
little,
too. Like, I've talked to people that are like, "Jobber does not work for my business." And I don't think that's possible,
yeah,
but usually it's just, they're struggling with the terminology in there or something's kind of maybe they're only using the app and they never go into desktop, so they don't see the full picture.
true.
They're just seeing what's in the Fields app for them. And yeah, so I think just kind of having some faith in the process is important and actually letting things go that you were using. Because I find a lot of people piece together 10 different softwares to create this beast that's kind of
Yeah,
like Jobber. So when you do get Jobber, it's important that you start getting rid of all those little components and just leaning into Jobber. Because some people don't do that, and then Jobber just becomes another thing that they have to do, and it makes more work instead of saving time.
for sure.
So, yeah, they have to be able to kind of step into it and trust the process a little bit to get it up and running.
Absolutely. No, rock and roll. That makes a lot of sense there. And when you look at like the types of business, like you've now worked in several industries with Jobber here, like are there ones that you find work very, very well? If someone's listening and like I have a landscaping company or a roofing company or whatever type of service company, are there ones that Jobber works very, very well in where you're like, definitely give this a try. This is really well suited for your industry. And then I guess on the second hand of that afterwards, are there ones that you're like, I would be cautious if Jobber is a good fit for these types of businesses? Like, what's your opinion on experience with that?
So, I find that Jobber works, like, out of the box seamlessly for people that do, like, one-off project jobs where it's like, let's say HVAC, they're installing or they're doing a service call. That's the main thing. Those jobs are very easy to set up. It's kind of like as needed. Sometimes landscaping can be a bit much just based on the sheer number of services that they offer, how many employees they have, how they schedule their jobs, things like that. I think it's wonderful, but obviously it's takes a little bit more understanding of the workflow just because you have 4 different seasons and all these different services that need to fit into one software. So, and it uses every kind of job setup and scheduling that's out there. One thing that some people don't think Jobber can do, but it can do quite well is service plans. So I've actually seen people have a lot of success with irrigation companies, things like
Okay.
that. They pre-sell maybe like a 1-year service contract where there's like a turn-on service, mid-season check, and a turn-off service. It works really well if you set the jobs up properly and you kind of have those processes in place. So, but yeah, the one-off type work where it's They call, you do an estimate, you go do the job, you send the invoice. Those kind of straightforward services obviously are the easiest setup.
For sure.
But one thing that Jobber usually doesn't have fully utilized in the accounts that I see is you can customize Jobber with custom fields to make it your CRM. So instead of going to buy something that is just for your industry,
Mm,
because it's so, clean in the way that it's set up, sometimes you can create that in Jobber and still have the additional features.
nice. Yeah. I'd rather it to, yeah, be more out of the boxy and then have the ability to expand rather than, as you said before there, shiny object syndrome, build it to how you want it. Super, super, almost too flexible. This almost gives a little bit better of a better pathway, I find, for, most contracting businesses.
Yeah, and, I mean, for some, if they're a really big company and they've got all these automations already built out and things like that, that's great, but for small businesses, Jobber is just very, jump in, it's ready to go. Whereas if they sign up for, a HubSpot or Go High Level, something like that, it's so much to take in,
For sure.
and they really struggle to do it on their own. Even I struggle with
Oh,
HubSpot, it's
in
just too much.
general. 100%.
I can do anything and everything with it. I want
Exactly.
a nice roadmap that tells me what I need. And that's Jobber has a really nice framework of what you need in your business and what customers want when they work with you.
Awesome.
So that's another reason why I prefer Jobber is it's made for trades.
Hmm.
It's made for people that aren't, maybe super tech savvy or that are moving from pen and paper.
For
Kind
sure.
of meets them where they're at.
Awesome. No, 100% there. And then in terms of outside even Jobber being a good product, like again, I'm a contractor, I just got Jobber, or I'm thinking about getting a CRM here. What is the process, for your website, it's JanineChambers.com there. What is the process with working with you? How do you take someone from point A to getting them set up with the thing? I know you have training sessions, you have strategy sessions. What's the product, the process, I guess, with working with someone like you here, Janine?
So I usually meet with people just to see what their goals are. Obviously, not everyone is a great fit for me, and I'm not a great fit for everyone either. Everyone has their own way of doing things. So I'll meet with them. We'll kind of discuss where they're at or what their needs are. So if they're brand new to Jobber, they haven't started it, I can help people come up with a plan on how to implement it in house by themselves, or they can bring me on to do the heavy lifting in terms of getting everything set up and the job set up and the schedule set up, things like that. But everything I do with them. I don't just grab their information, set it up, and pass it back and say good luck. That's not, I really want people to use Jobber and enjoy Jobber. So it's not just me taking and throwing information in there. They have to be part of the process.
Cool.
So I like working with small businesses where you know, owner operators or just a couple employees. I do work with bigger businesses, but for the most part, that smaller owner operator or family business, I think my gift to them is just knowing how they work,
Right.
knowing the business, and getting that Jobber account set up so that they're just ready to succeed with it. And it looks like what they're already doing.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be shocked by, you know, learning this software. I want the software to look like what they're already doing. It's just in their phone now instead of a piece of paper.
For sure. No, big time. I think that's important too, as well, in the sense of making it the same process of what they're doing, just digital, I think is definitely the way to do that. They're are there any common challenges that you find or typically have to be overcome with the process here? Do you find there's certain aspects that people struggle with where they really need an implementation expert on that side? For example, mass inputting a bunch of jobs. I feel like that's just a time saver already.
Mhm.
I paid the fee for that just to not have to do that.
Yeah.
Common things that
I
you
find
find?
it's usually a mindset thing.
Yeah.
They've either had a bad experience with tech, or for some people, they've only ever been a technician. They've never worked in an office.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that they're kind of nervous that they don't have it all together, and that's fine.
Mhm.
I really try and help people develop what they don't have yet so
Yeah,
that rubber is successful for them or I think people think that they need a perfect business to put in a CRM. They don't, but that's kind of where I help because I can help fill in the blanks. Sometimes implementing a CRM does shine a light on what you're missing.
Yeah.
And that's where some people really get hung up is they'll be like, well, I don't do this in my business, so I can't use Jobber. But that's not true. They probably do those things. It just might not be quite as structured. So I do find that implementing, sometimes they get hung up on they're not actually using Jobber,
Yeah. Yeah.
brought it on, but they're not going into their app or their desktop every single day, or they're trying to change Jobber too much to be exactly like the other programs that they're using. And just trusting the process is always a huge mindset block for some people,
For sure.
or mean that their staff won't use it.
Hmm.
But I don't think staff likes doing paperwork orders. And they can do like a talk and text into their notes. They actually like it. I think we're all like, it's 2025. We're all using
100%.
our phones all the time.
Yeah.
If, anyone on their team is under 40, I don't think there's any learning curve there whatsoever.
There you go.
But I do tell people, don't babysit your staff. When they ask you questions, you send them to Jobber. Send them to Jobber, say it's in Jobber, it's in Jobber, it's in Jobber, just so that they start using it every day
For sure. Almost like
instead of
forcing that adopt.
running to the owner all the time for every little bit of information. But that
Absolutely.
change takes a little bit. But I
For
think
sure.
within like 30 days, most people, if they're serious about jumping in and doing the thing, they can get Jobber implemented within 30 days.
Let's go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's good turnaround time for any type of software in a business there. So
I've had people within their free trial be like up and running and off and going. Just
yeah,
depends on the industry or, what they're putting into it, I guess.
awesome. Then off of that too as well, like obviously, with anything, any new thing, there's always going to be obstacles to overcome, challenges there. But very similar to, for your past, a company that you used to work for there was able to scale down their admin department from basically 3 full-time to 1 part-time with the assistance of a software like this. Like, are there any other like success stories or, really good client moments that you've had that have enabled them to save time, save money, just be even just being happier that you're not overwhelmed all the time with just random organizational tasks, I think is a win in itself. Like any things like
Yes.
that you find has happened with some of the people that you've worked with there?
Well, they do have like Jobber recently brought out the marketing suite, which is really helpful because before you had to implement, MailChimp or some
Yeah.
other kind of email marketing. So now you can do that inside of Jobber. Jobber can request reviews from customers. They've really put some extra work into the marketing side of things.
Mm.
But I find that most of the people that I work with, their customers love Jobber because it communicates where tradespeople aren't that great at communicating, right? Like it'll follow up on quotes, it'll follow up on invoices, it'll ask
Yeah.
for reviews, it'll send a text or an email reminder that they have a visit booked. And just having that schedule in general is super helpful. And I think I don't know if you can compete anymore without having some kind of software on board
Absolutely.
because most businesses have now implemented one in some capacity. So, like, I mean, when you go look at a review or go look at reviews for a company, you see someone that has 300 reviews. That is not from word of mouth. That is
Absolutely.
software,
100%.
right? Like they were not asking for reviews at the end of a visit or texting them a link. That is a software working very hard to
Yeah.
get reviews from all those customers. So I think it's really hard to stand out when you do things the old way. No, like
Absolutely.
customers' expectations are rising and CRMs can really help meet that so that you don't lose customers. Even if you're wonderful, they get an easier experience somewhere. That's probably where they're going to go. So I do find that Jobber helps with retention and customer loyalty, which is so important. 'Cause
Absolutely.
paying for marketing is expensive.
100%.
I know I shouldn't say that on a marketing podcast,
Oh
but
no, for sure, for sure. Like the people you want to market to are typically even your own clients, right? Like if you're a landscaping business and in the case of the before and you're running a lot of whatever yearly mowing contracts, like in order to make sure that that's solidified for next year is all through customer contact points, asking for reviews. How did you like the job? Anything we can improve on? Like that's what customers are demanding now. So it's almost like a
Well, the
necessity.
second snow starts to melt or people can see their lawn again, I'm sending out a campaign saying, "Hey,
Uh,
back again this year?"
yeah,
I don't want them to have the opportunity to call someone else. I want them to come back, and I want them to feel like I want them to come back to work with us.
absolutely.
So, if I just reach out to them quickly and say like, "Hey, we're getting started soon. If you wanna sign up again, let us know." They can call us, text us, email us, fill out a request form. Like, there's a million ways that people can contact, and it all goes into Jobber.
There you go.
So, I think that's super helpful. People get their phone like, small businesses that are operating through their cell phone, they can have their phone back for personal,
Absolutely.
you know, 18
And
pages of work text that you
big
can
time.
never get rid of, or pages and pages of notes, right? Like, everyone is in one place.
Absolute.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of benefits that are kind of not apparent right away or that you might not think would happen with a CRM, but they do.
There we go. No, 100%. Yeah. And it's like, again, you think it's someone messaging you or emailing you for review, but no, it's really just it's the software, yeah, as you said, working hard in the background, getting that all done. And again, so important in this day of age, being in 2025. Like, if it's not you, your competitor's doing all of this, whether it's manual
Yeah.
or through a software.
Well, and the industry is changing so much. Like, I mean, the younger demographics starting businesses, they're gonna do it the smart way. They're not gonna do things harder than they need to. And then, like, there's a lot of investors buying trades companies now too.
Big time.
And they also are gonna bring a lot of this in. So the competition has changed quite a bit too. So you have to evolve your company, and I don't like saying that just to push people to Jobber. It's just it really is becoming a necessity for business,
Absolutely.
whether it's Jobber or not. It doesn't matter. You need something to kinda supplement just and burnout sucks, and it happens a lot in the trades, so that is one big, big benefit for a CRM. Like, so
Absolutely.
you can actually sleep at night and, you don't have to work on quotes and invoicing after you're done your 10-hour day.
Big
So,
time.
yeah, all of that stuff really, really helps. It's like the core benefit, I would say, is that time savings and mental energy savings.
There we go.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. Then as we kind of get to the end of this here, Janine, if I'm a contractor and I'm thinking about getting a CRM or got Jobber, I don't know what to do with it. What's the best way to get in contact with you? How do we kind of get that started?
Yeah, right on my website, I do have an intro button. You can book an intro, or I do offer 1-hour training sessions for people that are using Jobber. They hired someone new that they'd like to use Jobber, and they just book 1 hour at a time. So there's no huge commitment in working with me. I mean, I'm just there to help how they need help.
Awesome.
So
Perfect.
whatever they need, just reach out, and I'm happy to connect with people even if we don't work together. It's just, I like to see who needs help and how they need help, whether or not we work together.
There we go. Rock and roll. I like it. Awesome. Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Janine, for coming on the podcast here. Always great catching up. And again, for anyone watching, if you are looking for a CRM or have been interested in Jobber with any type of websites, whatever, anything digital, it's so much easier when you have like an expert or someone who's actually done the process to kind of guide you through it so you can avoid mistakes that are going to cost you time here. So make sure to reach out to Janine at janinechambers.com. We'll have the description or have the contact information in the description below. But again, Janine, thank you so much for coming on and appreciate you being a part of the episode here.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Perfect.